The former mayor in New York City allegedly scammed his own supporters out of about $1 million by launching a meme coin that briefly reached a $600 million market cap, only to lose, about 80% of its value in under an hour. And somehow, that's not even the whole story yet, because he also promoted the token by claiming it would help fight anti-Semitism as well as the so-called anti-American sentiment, without ever really clearly explaining how the coin was supposed to achieve any of that. And if you tried to read more about that on the official website, it would just crash. So, I don't know what's going on there. But either way, it seems like this might be one of the messiest post-political career pivots I've seen in a while. And obviously, just in case you don't know him, this is Eric Adams, who served as New York City's mayor from 2022 until January 1st, 2025. And before getting into politics, he spent more than 2 decades working the NYPD, climbing his way up to captain before eventually retiring from the force. However, what made Eric Adams stand out wasn't just his background in law enforcement, it was actually because he became known as the Bitcoin mayor after deciding to convert his first 3 paychecks into Bitcoin and Ethereum when he took office in 2022. And the guy was definitely not subtle about his enthusiasm for crypto at any point, because Eric created an entire office of digital assets and blockchain technology, hosted in New York City's first ever crypto summit, and kept talking about transforming New York City into the global capital of cryptocurrency and blockchain innovation. Now, whether or not that was actually accomplished or not, that could easily be debated, but he definitely talked a lot about it. But in the end, his time as mayor didn't exactly end with some smooth sailing, because federal prosecutors came after him in September of 2024 with charges including bribery, fraud, and accepting illegal foreign campaign donations. So that's not ideal, and even though he fought those charges and pleaded not guilty to everything, the political damage was already done. And he ended up leaving office at the start of 2026 as a free man with no criminal convictions, and apparently his first order in business as a private citizen was getting right back into the crypto world, but arguably the worst part of the crypto world. So on Monday, January 12th, 2026, barely 2 weeks after leaving City Hall, Eric held a press conference in Times Square. But he showed up wearing a baseball cap that had the hashtag New York City stitched across the front of it and unveiled the New York City token, a meme coin built on Solana, which he said would tackle anti-Semitism and the whole anti-American sentiment, while teaching New York kids about blockchain and funding scholarships for students who needed them.
This is going to be how we are going to address many of the issues you're seeing facing not only this city, but cities in America. One focus we have on this New York City coin is to use the revenue generated to address anti-Americanism, anti-Semitism, to teach our children how to embrace the blockchain technology of how to run cities correctly, as Walmart is using blockchains.
Dude, just drop the meme coin and move on, because we know that's just gonna happen anyway. I never really understood why sleazebags would try to give all this fake utility to these meme coins, because it's very obvious what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, these meme coins are just vehicles for speculation. No one's going to be buying this because it has a chance of giving a kid a scholarship or something like that. That's just not realistic. And people are definitely not buying it because it's going to teach kids about blockchain technology. Because there are 3 billion better ways at doing that than launching a meme coin. If anything, launching meme coins to educate the youth on the blockchain space is kind of like going, hey kids, you heard about gambling? Because let's be real, meme coins are pretty much the worst use case for a smart contract. But he did discuss how the proceeds would support nonprofit organizations working on awareness campaigns, although again, he never really specified which organizations would receive the funding or how much was going to be allocated to each of them. He also mentioned that he wouldn't be taking a salary from the project right away, but left the door open to changing that decision later on. And Eric then promoted the token on social media with a highly produced video, and in the token's official website tried to position it as capturing the spirit of New York City through innovation and ambition, promising to build some kind of decentralized financial ecosystem, which just doesn't make sense whatsoever for a Solana meme coin. But of course, when people actually try to find the real information on the website, they kind of came up empty-handed because reportedly there was no white paper to even dig into. There was no real purchase page except for just like the Solana exchanges, and basically no technical details explaining how any of this was supposed to work. So to me, it kind of seems like most of the time spent here was on the promotion of this coin rather than the coin itself. Yeah, it's safe to say the whole presentation was heavy on the promises and very light on the actual substance. However, the New York City token began trading right away, and the token's value skyrocketed during the first, 15 minutes until it completely collapsed. So at peak, I think it was at like a $580 million market cap, which is crazy. That valuation does not make sense. But obviously, these are meme coin valuations. There's no real value there. Because, right on cue, just like every other meme coin, it crashed about 80% right after launching. So it went from like a $600 million-ish market cap all the way down to like a $100 million market cap. And again, these numbers are so big and there's no value back in this. There's no real value here either. And when I say there's nothing behind this that really backs this, like obviously nothing is really backing this because it's a meme coin, but no dev can sell $100 million worth of this coin. Like if the dev just tried to dump everything, they would get like maybe a couple $1 million out of it. But that was when there was liquidity. Now there's no liquidity, so they're not even getting that out of it. But either way, nearly $500 million in paper value just evaporated while people were still trying to figure out what happened. You would think people would be getting deja vus at this point due to how many times this has happened. But obviously, since this happened in the crypto world and everything's recorded on the blockchain, you can kind of start seeing how things went down. So when the New York City token crashed, analysts immediately started breaking down the transaction records to figure out what went wrong. And according to Bubble Maps, which specializes in tracking cryptocurrency transactions, a wallet directly connected to whoever deployed the token pulled out roughly $2.5 million of USDC, which is a stable coin that's pegged to the dollar. So essentially $2.5 million right out of the liquidity pool. And this was pulled out right when the price was at its highest point. And after the token had already crashed by about 60%, the same wallet added back roughly $1.5 million liquidity. But somewhere between $900,000 and $1 million was never returned. So the timing of these withdrawals is what convinced people this was intentional. A token gets created, it's aggressively hyped to push the price up, and the creators cash out, leaving everyone else with, a worthless asset. Unfortunately, that's a very common pattern in the crypto world. It's called a rug pull, and it's very common in the Solana meme coin world. But what people realized was the token was actually made available for trading at 10:27 p.m. However, Eric didn't publicly announce the contract address, which is essentially, the token's identifier that people need to know to be able to buy this token. And that created a 21-minute window where anyone who knew the contract address could easily start buying before the general public was able to buy the coin. We've seen this over and over again. Most of the celebrity coins went down exactly like this. But one of these wallets were kind of interesting because this wallet bought the token 10 minutes before the public announcement and saw paper gains of about $250,000 at one point. And that would have been a solid profit, except he didn't sell. The price tanked and they ended up panic selling for nearly a $500,000 loss when everything crashed. Yeah, that just didn't make sense. Like, come on, imagine having insider information and you still fumble the bag and lose $500,000. Like, hello? I don't know what happened there, but another analysis traced some of the funding of the New York City token deployment back through a complex web of wallets. And one particularly interesting discovery was that some of the money seemed connected to the wallets that had previously been involved with Libra. The meme coin that was promoted by Argentina's president, Javier Milei, that crashed enormously and triggered multiple lawsuits. And this topic is honestly just its own iceberg because you have a guy by the name of Hayden who was allegedly behind all of that. Honestly, that's another video that I have to make. But one specific wallet in the funding chain had lost about $337,000 on the Libra launch, then somehow ended up connected to the New York City token deployment. But according to Bubble Maps' analysis, roughly 200 individual traders lost more than $1,000 each. 40 lost 10 to 100,000 each, and 15 different addresses lost over $100,000. Meanwhile, only about 10 addresses profited $100,000 or more. But by the time the dust settled, more than 4,000 addresses bought into the New York City token. And as the accusations piled up, the official New York City token account posted a statement trying to calm things down. They claimed because, of overwhelming support and demand at their launch, their partners needed to rebalance the liquidity. They said they were aware people were flagging the suspicious transactions, but insisted the team was using something called a TWAP, a time-weighted average price mechanism, and had added more funds to the liquidity pool. And they ended the statement with saying, "We're in it for the long haul." And obviously that long haul claim probably didn't inspire too much confidence here, especially since, 10 days later, nothing's been posted here on this account. But the next day, on January 14th, Adams' spokesperson, Todd Shapiro, released a much longer statement pushing back against all the allegations. The statement fully denied that Eric Adams had moved any money out of the New York City token or personally profited from the launch. He also insisted that no funds were removed and that Adams' involvement was purely mission-driven and that his focus was on education and fighting anti-Semitism and supporting nonprofits. Todd also attributed the crash to normal volatility that affects newly launched digital assets, emphasizing that Adams remained committed to responsible innovation. Come on! It had nothing to do with pulling the liquidity. But the statement also pointed out that New York City processes billions of dollars of crypto trading daily, framing the token as a part of that broader ecosystem rather than some isolated scheme. But as of late January, New York City token is technically still operating, though calling it operational might be a little bit too generous. So the token's market cap is currently somewhere around $40 million on CoinGecko and around $120 million on Jupiter. I don't know why there's that much of a difference between Jupiter, which is a Solana aggregator, and CoinGecko, which is just a stats website. So why the market cap difference is that big, I don't know. But it's basically been stuck there ever since the massive crash, like 15 minutes after it launched. Or 15 minutes after it was thrown out to the public. I guess the only positive I can think of is at least the number of wallets that ended up losing money on this one is relatively small compared to, any of the other massive projects we've covered before, or that have happened in the Solana ecosystem. Overall, it seems like Solana meme coins are dead because people are just sick and tired of losing money. The whole thing is greater fool theory. So there's no longer suckers to buy these coins because, like I said previously, there was about 4,000 addresses that bought into this token. That's not a lot of people compared to how many people were buying random tokens just a year or two ago. And that also shows you how laughably stupid a valuation of like $600 million is. Like, come on, guys. 4,000 people buy into some meme coin and it's worth $600 million. Clearly it wasn't for long. Still, the price at 40 million to 120 million is also outrageous for this. But other than that, there's no real news from Eric other than him being confronted on a jet bridge the other day. And I mean, yeah, Eric's response to her was definitely direct.
Punch me in the face, Eric Adams. Please punch me in the face. I would love if you punch me in the face. Okay, you can get too.
All right?
Yeah,
I'm not there anymore. Those things are over.
Yeah, good. Thank God. Damn. I can see your ugly ass face everywhere. Damn.
That's fine.
Busted ass crazy.
But the video of that was clipped and it went viral, and he ended up quote tweeting that himself and just saying exactly. So I don't know. But looking at this, it's hard to know 100% if Eric went into this with the intentions to rug pull or if he was tricked into this. Who knows? Or maybe it was just awful execution and then they just never followed through. Who launches their token or their product and then they can't really follow through with anything? They have no information on their website of where the funds are going. All of this does not look good. This is just a terrible decision. Come on, if your political career was stained because of fraud allegations, why are you doing this? Because this is just absolutely not a good look. But as of recording this video on the 26th of January 2026, Eric is still promoting the coin in his Twitter bio. And obviously, if you go to the ad of the coin that he's promoting, you see only 5 posts. 2 of these posts promoting the token, 1 announcing the token's live, and then 1 are, that tweet that we covered earlier where they're like, we're in this for the long one. And the final one is saying that they're here to stay, even if they haven't posted in 2 weeks. So, I don't know what's going on there. And again, there's no activity on this coin. So whatever floats their boat. But what isn't debatable here is thousands of people lost a whole bunch of money here. And whether those losses happen because of incompetence or fraud, that doesn't really change the outcome too much for someone who watched their investment drop by, 80% in minutes. So if you don't want to light your money on fire, don't buy crypto meme coins. But other than that, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one when I'm way more awake because I am exhausted. This is like, oh my goodness, it's almost 6 in the morning. I need to sleep. I've been up all night. I'll be way more awake in the next one. Peace.